So, the big question and the topic of today's episode is why haven't you started your candle business yet? Or rather, looking at the most common answers that I receive from you, the viewer watching this video and or podcast episode listening to it, on why you have not started your candle business yet. What I decided to do was a couple months ago, I went onto my community channel post and I made a post asking you why you haven't started your candle business yet. And I went through and kind of dissected all of the answers and broke them up into different categories. And so far, I have noticed a very common theme, and that it has been broken down into 4 main categories on why you haven't started your candle business yet. So we are going to dive into all 4 of those reasons in today's episode. So let's talk about it. Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Candle Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Marie Morris, and I am so excited that you are here with me today. Today's topic is so important and something that I think is especially important for me as a content creator because I really want to kind of narrow down the things that I can help you with the most. So my whole purpose and my whole goal with this is always to make sure that I am providing the most valuable and helpful content. So with that also comes with trying to figure out what you personally are struggling with your candle business. And something that I realized is that a lot of people that follow me are aspiring candle business owners who want to start a candle business, but there is something stopping you along the way or before you get there from actually accomplishing your goals, from actually starting your candle business. So that is what we are diving into today. And I did break it up into 4 main topics or 4 main reasons that I realized that you are struggling with. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. And if you are somebody who is wanting to start a candle business and you need a little bit of guidance along the way, I do actually have a free download for you. It's just a gift for you to be able to download. You also get onto my email list as well, and I send out helpful weekly tips, tricks, all that kind of stuff, business advice, all that kind of stuff that I'm working on that I may or may not talk about on my YouTube channel. So if you go to ericamariemorris.com/checklist, it is a candle business launch checklist. So it's essentially something that I just created so that you can go through and see the basic idea of things that you should be looking into doing prior to actually launching your candle business. So I really hope that that helps you out. And let's go ahead and jump right into today's topic, which is the reasons on why you have not started your candle business yet. And jumping right into number 1 is the paradox of choice. And I also put in paralysis analysis in here. And if you're not too sure what that means, is paradox of choice meaning you're overwhelmed by how many choices you have available to you and you end up not making a decision. Or paralysis analysis, I feel like that's also an overwhelming amount of information and you don't even know where to start. So let's just dive into, first of all, talking about the paradox of choice, because I feel like this is probably the main point of this one, because what I noticed on what a lot of the answers were to my community post was talking about being overwhelmed or having too many choices when it comes to choosing your vessels or choosing your fragrance oil scents. I feel like with something like that, we almost feel like we have to make all the right decisions in the beginning. We have to make sure that we are choosing everything that we will be using in our candle business indefinitely. And I promise you that when you are consumed and basically paralyzed by how many different choices you have, especially if you're somebody like me who in the very beginning ordered way too many fragrance oil scents. And I know that that's something that a lot of you struggle with as well, because I noticed that in the response that a lot of people were talking about just choosing fragrance oils, or they have 50 different samples and they don't know which ones to go with. And when you overwhelm yourself like that with so many choices, you can see firsthand how difficult it is to actually make a decision on the fragrances that you want to have in your candle line for your business. So I have two kind of helpful tips in this area. One of them I talked about recently in one of my videos, and I feel like I do want to keep repeating this point because this is something that, one, I wish I would have known when I got started with my candle business, and two, it's so important, and I know that not everybody watches all of my videos or listens to all of my podcast videos. So talking about this is something that you definitely need to know, and that is, if you want to be able to make decisions for your business, you have to know who you're going to be selling to, and that will narrow down a lot more of your decision making. So you have to find your target market, and you have to find out who your customer is prior to actually creating your product. Because if you create a product and you're thinking that you're going to be selling it to everybody, it's just not, like, I'm going to be honest, not everybody is going to like your product. Do you think that everybody likes my products? No. You think everybody likes my YouTube videos? No. There are so many people that hate what I have to say. I get all the time some people say, hey, you talk too fast, talk slower. I had somebody a couple weeks ago saying, hey, did you talk slower in this video? I like when you talk faster. So there's really no winning. So all you have to do is create a product, create your candles, your design, your vessels, and your fragrances for your ideal customer, and that will help you narrow it down. That will help you figure out which ones to actually choose, because then you're actually creating something for somebody else, and you're not just trying to think in your head, okay, well, I have to pick the best ones and I don't know which ones are the best ones, or I want to pick all of them because all the scents are so amazing. That just creates way too much pressure on yourself and way too much going on. And I promise, just stick with a good range of 4 to 6 different scents in a variety of categories, and you are going to do just fine. And make sure that you have your ideal customer in mind. That way you're able to actually choose and narrow down your supplies that you want to work with. And that also comes into play when it comes to candle label designs, and also fragrances and any other thing that you are going to be using for your candle business and for your actual product. But just know, and again, this is something that I struggled with in the beginning, because I had designed my own candle labels, which I still do now, but I designed them a certain way with a certain font, a certain candle label size. And after about, I believe it was 6 or 7 months in business, I started thinking about, I don't really like my candle labels. I don't really like the font that I'm using, and I kind of want to make the candle labels bigger. But for some reason in my head, I thought, well, I can't do that because this is how they are. Like, this is just how they are. And it's so funny because who's in charge? I'm sorry, I think that you're in charge. I think that you are in control and are making all the decisions. And that's one of the best things about being a business owner, is that you can make all the decisions. You have first say, last say, only say, whatever it is. Like, you don't have to just stick with one thing. So just know that if you are struggling with, I don't know if I should go with this scent, or if I should go with this candle label design, or this font, or if there's something that's really halting you from getting started, just know that you can always change it. Your business, as well as you, will go through different seasons of your business, different stages and phases, or whatever you want to say. You're going to feel differently a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Something that you want to change right now, and you really love all the new changes that you've done. In 2 years, you might look back and be like, oh, I hate that. I'm changing that. And it's just is what it is. It's a part of the growth. It's a part of what you realize and what you start to develop as you go through the process of starting and growing your business. And I also did just want to mention in this one, before moving on to the second one, I do understand that a lot of you are just simply in the testing phase and you're just kind of trying out a bunch of different supplies. And I totally understand that, but don't let it get to the point where you're so overwhelmed by all the things that you've tested that you just can't make a decision and you never start. Because what's the point of going through all that testing if you don't actually start your candle business? So just give yourself some time to enjoy the testing process. Yes, I did say enjoy the testing process. I know that's kind of like an oxymoron, right? But just give yourself that time and just know that you can always change things in the future. Don't think that you are stuck with one thing forever with your business. You can do whatever you want. So just always keep that in mind. And moving on to number 2, we are going to be jumping into the topic, or not really topic, the answer. One of the answers that I got a lot is simply a lack of direction or a path to go in. This is also encompassing the unknown of not knowing, let's say, the legal side, the tax side, getting overwhelmed by all of it, and then not wanting to even pursue it because it's complicated and it's challenging and it's scary and it's things that you don't know yet. So this is this part of what I had kind of gathered from all of the responses, is that a lot of people just simply don't know where to go next, don't know where to start, don't know who to talk to, don't know how to get started with certain things, because business is a whole different kind of, I want to say monster. I don't mean monster, but a whole different like aspect of just candle making. When you merge the two, you have the creative side, and then you have like that businessy, logical, all this other stuff side, which I really want to make a podcast episode on that, on how you have to use both sides of your brain as a candle business owner, like both the left and the right, and how that kind of merges with being a hobbyist and then a business owner, and kind of how that goes together, because that's a whole interesting topic in and of itself. But I feel like when you are merging those two things together and you are trying to essentially learn all of these things that most of us have never done before. Most of us have never registered an LLC, figured out business taxes, done our own bookkeeping for businesses, registered for a business license, learned marketing, figured out all of these. I've learned a lot. I mean, even simply just learning how to talk to people through email. That's something that formatting a very, I want to say formal. I'm not super formal with my emails, but I try to be, and getting your point across and being very, not slangy, you just got to be a little bit more professional in emails when you're talking to businesses, when you're talking to customers, learning customer service. There's just so much that goes into it. So I understand this one probably more than anything else, just because this was something that I really struggled with my business when I first got started. I didn't even know who to ask questions to. I didn't know. I would have a question and I'm like, dang, I don't even know what kind of professional would be able to answer this question. And one of the questions that I had was, is there just one person that can answer this question? Like, I have 10 questions. Can I just find one professional that can answer all of these questions for me? The answer is no, by the way. Sometimes you got to see like 3 or 4 different people or try to figure it out. And that's not to scare you or anything. That's just kind of realistic of sometimes people don't have all the answers, and sometimes depending on what you're looking for, you may have to see a specialist in that area who can help you answer and kind of work through that question or figure out what you're looking to do with your business. And this was actually the reason, this part right here, the lack of direction and the lack of a path to go in and not really even knowing where to go or how to start, is the reason why I created my candle business workbook. And if you didn't know I had it, you do now. I think I have a separate section on my website now. It's ericamariemorris.com/workbook. I'll also put it down in the comment section below. I'll probably put a pinned comment if you're watching on YouTube. But essentially what it is I just walk you through a bunch of questions that you should be asking yourself, and it's prompts and things that you can fill in, and it's very you're able to take a look at you and your business and really determine the steps and kind of get different ideas and essentially get a little bit of a path going. It's not like a huge business plan or anything like that, but it's just to help you in a very realistic sense of things that you need to be thinking about when you are wanting to start this candle business. So I'll leave that down below in case you're interested, and in case that's something that would make sense for you at this stage of your journey of wanting to start a candle business. Because I promise you that as soon as you start having a plan, and I know that's funny coming from me when it's very difficult for me to organize and plan and everything. And also I feel like I learned recently that I have executive dysfunction, which would make sense with the clutter and the mess and the not finishing things and the kind of struggling with organizing and prioritizing what comes first and everything, which also makes business very difficult. But with something like a lack of direction, as soon as you get a little bit of direction there, as soon as you can kind of get some questions answered and not just be stuck in well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Like you're so ignorant to it. As soon as you learn more, the confidence that you feel, the confidence boost that you get is very motivating. You kind of get over that hump of you don't use that as an excuse anymore of, well, I can't do it because I don't know. It's like, okay, well, then learn, figure it out, ask questions, talk to people, figure out what you need to be doing. And once you figure that out and you start that, you feel so much more confident in getting started with your business. You don't feel so, for lack of a better term, ignorant, And I know ignorance not always a negative. It's not a negative thing. It's just is what it is. It's just you're not educated yet in a certain topic. I'm ignorant in a lot of things. But the more you know and the more that you learn about that, you just feel so much better once you get your own education down and you start to become way more connected with that business side of things. And then you can actually start into your business and just feel so much more confident going into it. Now, moving on to number 3. Now, this one I actually combined together. So it's time and money on why you are not starting your candle business. So not enough time, not enough money. And this one I feel like is a whole separate challenge from the other ones, because this is something that is can be kind of that outside source that you need to be able to get, versus the other ones can be a lot more internal. And with this, I feel like it can be challenging. I was even thinking to myself, I'm like, man, if somebody tells me they don't have enough time to work on a business, I'm like, man, I don't know. That is so personal to you and your specific situation. And the only thing that I can think of with both of these, with both time and money, because of course, lack of money, it's difficult, if not, something that you can't do for a little while until you can save up money to be able to start your candle business. And with both of these, the only thing that I could even remotely think of to give you some advice in this way is just prioritize what you can and do the most important things that you need to do, and know that you don't have to go all out and do this huge line of scents and feel like you have to make tons and tons of candles. So if you have saved up a little bit of money and you have started testing out your candles, don't think that you need to make like dozens and dozens of candles before you start selling. There's somebody on my YouTube channel in the comments that follows me. I think it's I think it's like the Double Boiler. I think their name is really cool. But they comment a lot on my YouTube videos. And what they've done in the very beginning, before they've actually created an online website, is they've actually just sold to people in their city. So they say that they sell out of their backpack. I really hope they watch this episode and they comment, because I just really like hearing about that. I think that that's something that I wish I would have done, is just utilize talking to people around your city, telling them that you make candles. Do you want to smell this candle? And then selling it to them, because that is the best way to get started, to not only utilize the time of going to the grocery store, going to doctor's appointments, just wherever you're going, you can talk to people, but also the money, because when you invest a little bit into your business, just make a little amount of candles, and then whatever profits that you earn from that, reinvest it back into your business. And that is how you can keep growing and keep going with your business. Is you start off really small, start investing into the supplies, make the product, sell what you have, and then keep growing from there. And then that way you're taking those profits and you're able to make more and more and more candles. Don't feel like in the very beginning you have to make tons and tons of candles, or else you can't, be able to launch your business. And don't always think that you have to start off online and start off with a website, a Shopify store, whatever it is. You don't have to follow these things step by step. You can think outside of the box. And I think that thinking outside of the box can save you time and save you money, and also make you money and make you time, not make you time, but essentially if you can start thinking in your head, okay, let me realistically look at my day. Let me look at my day and see if there's any point in my day where I could be utilizing it to work on my business. And yes, this may mean sacrificing. It may mean that. And I don't want you to think that I expect you or want you to completely throw away your social life, your family time, anything like that in order to sacrifice and hustle with your business. I do not like hustling. I hate hustle culture. I used to very much be like that, and I am not a fan of that anymore. And I'm actually a bigger fan of growing slowly. If it takes you 2 years to actually launch your business because you've been saving and testing and saving and saving and saving until you can get to the point where when you do launch, you feel like you'll be more successful, then great. That's what you're going to have to do. Everybody's situation is going to be different. So you'll have to just take the time to look at your schedule, your day-to-day, see what can be changed and adjusted if this is really something that you want to do. Or if you are struggling with the money aspect, you may need to either work more hours at your job, save more money, try to do a budget if you're not already on a budget, and really start saving for your candle business. You may need to sell things around your house, start a garage sale. A lot of people know that when I started my candle business, I funded it through my eBay reselling business. So I was already doing eBay at the time, and I didn't have, if I wasn't doing eBay, I would have had like hardly any money, any extra money to invest into a candle business. But luckily, I was already having a little side business. So I used my side business to fuel my other side business. And then as soon as I opened shop and I started making sales on my candles, then of course I was reinvesting that. And I'm still doing that to this day, is just reinvesting it back into the business, because that is the best way that you can grow your business. So in this part of this, I mean, there is no secret answer. There is no, hey, do this, and then magically you'll have all the time and the money in the world. It's really just a matter of, if you are okay with sacrificing, if you're okay with taking things slow, growing slowly, and being able to do what you can, prioritize what you can, and do what you can for your business, your life, your situation, and what's ever going to fit well into your life. So don't feel like you have to do all this at once. Just do what is going to be the best for you in your life at the moment. And then number 4, the final and last reason on what I gathered from the post from you all, is the fear of failure or thinking that the market is oversaturated. These are both things that I get all the time, feeling like, why even try? Why would I even try if one, I might fail. I don't want to fail in my business. And two, the market is so saturated with other candle businesses. How am I going to stand out? Why would anybody purchase my candles? If this sounds like you are not alone. And this is the one where I'm very confident in letting you know that, one, the market is absolutely not oversaturated, and I will tell you why. And two, the fear of failure is just something that people think of because they're worried that the failure means that they failed as a person. It's just that personal connection to it, that I tried to do something and I couldn't do it. And if you don't try, then you can't fail. And I've always had that mindset ever since I was a kid. I never wanted to try anything because I just did not want to fail at it. And this candle business is the first time, well, actually that's not true. I've tried many other businesses before and I have failed. But all of those businesses and all of those things that I did led me to where I am right now. So what I want you to know is that failure, it doesn't mean final. Failure doesn't mean final. That's the end. And if you failed, then it's over. It's only over if you say it's over. It's only over if you don't get up and try again, if you don't utilize what you learned in that failure to go in another direction. That's what I've learned in every single time that I failed, is that, okay, that doesn't work. What do I need to do now? And that works with mini failures, baby failures, micro failures. I don't know, whatever you call them. There's things that happen all the time. I took a spinning wheel for discounts to one of, actually multiple of our vendor pop-up events. It was terrible. Horrible. I hated it. We lost money. It wasn't attracting anybody. It just attracted kids that wanted to spin it. It was just not a good idea. But I wasn't like, okay, well, that's a failure. We can't do pop-ups anymore. Like that, nothing's working. No, I'm learning more ways on how to get more people to the booth and also to increase the amount of sales that we get and to get more people on the newsletter. And there's just different ideas and different things that you come up with, and you never know unless you try. I wouldn't have known that for us personally, the wheel was terrible and didn't work out unless we tried. I would have had no idea. So what you can think of is, would you rather never try and then look back and be like, wow, I'm really glad I didn't try? Like, most people don't think that. And I want you to know, again, that failure is something really not to be feared, because I feel like we think that failure is like, I imagine on like a test, a huge stamp of a red F down on the paper, just failure, done, end, like game over, essentially, as a lot of people think game over. But what does that really mean? You know, when we are controlling our business, it's up to us. And there are so many businesses that have been kicked down on the ground, and you just have to get through the adversity. And it's possible to get through that. So I don't want you to think that just because you've opened up your Etsy shop and in 8 days didn't get any sales, that doesn't mean you failed. That just means you're learning. That just means you're a normal business. Most businesses are not actually profitable for a couple years into business. So if you're 6 months in and you're like, I've only made 3 sales, then that's pretty normal, to be honest, in a lot of other businesses. And then you just have to figure out and learn the things that you need to be doing in order to get more sales and be more successful. And no, this does not mean that the reason why you are not getting sales is because of oversaturation in the market. And I'll tell you why. It is because one of the main reasons why us as candle business owners think that the market is oversaturated is because more than likely you are surrounding yourself with other candle business owners everywhere you look on your phone. If you join Facebook groups, if you watch YouTube videos of candle business owners and you see all the comments, if you are on Instagram and you follow other candle business owners, we surround ourselves with our very, very, very niched down community of people in this industry that are wanting to get started when there are, over 6 or 7 billion people in the world, something like that. We are such a small minority of a community, but we surround ourselves so it feels like everybody and their mom is starting a candle business, which, I mean, over the pandemic, it kind of was true, but it's not something that is actually a problem because, and as I've mentioned this before, I think that candle businesses are just the same as a t-shirt company because we have a blank slate. Our labels are a blank slate. The scents that we can create, the customization that we can create, it is a blank slate. It's basically a t-shirt business, and we can do so many different things with it, so many untapped markets within candle making, selling candles too, and so many people love candles just like so many people love t-shirts. So I feel like I would actually argue that people like candles more than t-shirts. I'd probably argue that. But regardless, when we're thinking about oversaturation, there are just so much that you can do with a candle business. And also we're just surrounding ourselves with so many people in the industry. And yeah, if you are trying to do the same thing that everybody who is getting started with their candle business is trying to do, which is just making your candles and using, whatever fragrances that you want to use, putting it up on Etsy, taking a couple of pictures in your bathroom or whatever it is, and just kind of, the things that people would do maybe 10 to 15 years ago and just waiting for sales to come in. Yeah, that just doesn't work anymore. But that doesn't mean that it's oversaturated, and that doesn't mean that you're bound to fail with starting a candle business. It just means that you need to think outside of the box. So much of getting started with a business is thinking outside of the box to overcome all of these things that are making it difficult for you to either start your business or grow your business. But that is just my advice and insight into the reasons on why you have not started your candle business yet, because I want you to get to the point where you have launched your candle business and that you are growing and that you're happy and thriving and learning and overcoming the obstacles and going through all the ups and downs, those wonderful ups and downs of running your own business. It is a joy. It is sometimes brings sadness. It's ups and downs, but overall, it's just a wonderful experience, and I want that for you. And I don't want any obstacle to keep you from getting to where you want to go. So even if it takes a little while, give yourself patience, give yourself time, prioritize what you need to do, and research, learn, educate, and any other thing that I can tell you. I'm thinking of all these nouns or adjectives or whatever for you to do. But I really hope that this episode helped you out. If it did, I would love to hear from you down in the comment section below of this video. Let me know which part of this video resonated with you. What is stopping you from starting your candle business, and how are you going to overcome it? I would love to hear from you. And again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, watching today's episode, and I will absolutely see you in my next episode.